Okay. The Ben Seder Meire is basically, we have a problem, and we're going to have a bigger problem soon. Whether we realize it or we may already have it already. The Indian of, what do you call it? Weed. What's weed called? Marijuana. Marijuana became legalized in New Jersey. I believe it's going to become legalized in New York, or it is already legalized in New York. CBC, whatever it's called, those letters where they put this stuff into the cakes and stuff like that. I was in New York. I was in Newark. I think in Brooklyn. It was signed by a bakery. We have CBC, whatever that lotion is. I don't know. There's 3 letters. I don't know what they are. I don't know. C and a B. What?
CBD.
DBD.
CBD.
CBD.
CDBD. Okay, CBD. Okay, they mixed up the alphabet a little bit over there. CBD. Okay, so this is available. And as I heard, I don't know if this is true, I hope it's not, but I've heard from people that it's not called a real good kiddush unless you have them. In other words, like sushi used to be. If you don't have sushi, you don't have anything. This has now become the thing. And it's very nice and cute and everything else, but why? Why are you doing it? And that's the problem that we have. And once we let it in like that, it's going to be very hard to tell the kids, but marijuana you're not allowed to have. Wait a minute, King Cup. You do it, and I don't know if it gives the same kick or not, because this is only an extract of marijuana, but if it does give a kick, or whatever it is there, then the kids are going to want to have a bigger kick. And the Indian of smoking, which is kipshute. I think we are the only yeshiva in the world that doesn't have any smokers. Cigarettes, for sure. And why not? Because we talk about it. Talk about the Yin of Ben Seder Meir. We don't have to make rules. We have no rules against it. But the idea is that if you're Ben Seder, that what's a Ben Seder Meir? He makes something for himself that's not addictive in the sense that the body needs it, but psychologically addictive. Like more addiction, as they call SA in certain areas of the country. Playing games, video games. These things are addictive. What do you mean they're addictive? It means you got used to it, so it's addictive. And I don't want to give it up. That's addiction. Okay, that's one type of addiction. There's another type of addiction, which is a stronger one, which is dope, which is alcohol, maybe even nicotine or the tars that are necessary, that the body requires it. Body needs it, and if it doesn't have it, it feels starved. It used to be, when I was a kid, we didn't have the Shadow by Yidden, and therefore maybe we made big jokes about it. You had it by Goyim, and then it was a big problem. By my time, it was not cocaine, it was heroin was the machla of the world. Now it's cocaine. And we used to say, you know how to cure it? We know how to cure it. Put a guy in a room, lock the door, him and a drunk can do it the same way, come back in 3 days. He's either dead or cured. One of the two. Okay. Why? Because he starved it out of him, and after that he doesn't require that anymore. Same thing goes with food. In reality, a person goes on a diet So that's difficult. Why? Because I'm eating food, and you're telling me now stop. That's a very difficult thing to do. Starve is a lot easier, right? And if you starve for 3 days, in other words, if you don't have, I think there's certain diets they have like that. If you don't have carbohydrates for 3 days, you're not hungry anymore. That's why guys can go on a hunger strike. They're not hungry anymore. That's a chesed that Kodesh Baruch Hu has made in the world. That pshat is, if you're going to die of hunger already, now when are you going to torture you for the whole time? So 3 days is enough. That's why the tinus, a bigger tinus is 3 days. In other words, that's equal to 40 days of a tinus. Like by yesterday they've had it, and yeah, by Divrei, in other words, they didn't eat for 3 days because that was where the torture exists, those 3 days. If there's no torture anymore, there's no point in fasting. You might as well eat because you want to stay alive. But as far as food goes, the hunger for food disappears. And I assume that anything that the body requires may disappear in 3 days. And that's why the joke existed about the alcohol and the what do you call it, the marijuana. Not a marijuana, dope. Marijuana doesn't have that addiction. So kids, even I remember years ago, guys used to tell me, because a mother drinks marijuana, it's not addictive at all. It's better than tobacco. Wonderful. Yeah, in tobacco you bought so why can't you just drink mutter? And that was they used to do, and you had to argue with these people about it and stuff like that. The ikar is why it's also is because simply why is by the food, but we're talking about by Ben Saira Meir, it's also not addictive. We're talking about food. Now you say the food is addictive because the body requires food. You say you're 100% right. So, and therefore, really, food is the same thing as all these as an addiction to schnapps and to everything else. The body needs food. But the issue is you're making a need that doesn't exist. That's the point. I don't need to become an alcoholic. I don't need food that I became a gourmet, that I can't be satisfied with normal food. These things I can't do. So therefore, this bacha, this kid, wants to make a certain tatima choboso and a chotzi lugyayin, which seems to be an exceptionally large amount of food that he wants it, but it's like the geschmack of food, and that's my standard I want to put into myself. I'm looking to be satisfied that extra experience that they have in food, and echinami. So then you're a person that's dangerous. You want, because ultimately you're going to possibly kill somebody. I'm not going to say are they going to kill somebody? Possibly. You'll say, but okay, I understand the Norman. Or even like years ago, you know, why you have all these stores that you have a push button that they let you in when they see after they see who's outside. Why they do that? Because in the 1970s, they used to kill people. They used to come into the store because the door was open and pull out a gun, and then the woman was needed a fix. So therefore, obviously, the need that body needs will require people to do this. So you'll say, I'm a rich person. It never come to me. I'll never have a problem. I have all the money in the world. I don't need it. I don't have a problem. You have the same problems as anybody else, because, well, how are you going to have money on Sunday? I go to the ATM. I'll get cash, right? Because the guys need cash for this business. You need cash. I'll get my cash there. I go down to the ATM, and it's broken, and I can't get into the thing. Now I'm getting more and more agitated because I can't get it. Let me go find an ATM somewhere. And all of a sudden somebody walks down the street. Oh, he solved my problem. Go over, I'll ask him for, you have at least $50 you can give me. The guy's gonna say, what are you, crazy? And you say, I'll pull out a gun, or I'll say, I'll kill you if you don't give me the $50. Right? And then the guy's gonna defend himself and you'll kill him. So it's very possible to kill someone even though you're rich. So the Torah asks you putting yourself into such a position. You're not allowed to put yourself into such a position where you may become that dangerous. Will there ever be a Ben Sarah Meir? That's a machlekes in the Gemara. This is one of three mitzvahs that the Torah says, that the Gemara says, according to that one time, that it can't happen. Drosh mikabel schar. I always said, what do you mean drosh mikabel schar? Doesn't make any sense. You have a little Torah, say, okay, we throw in a couple of mitzvahs that don't really apply, just to keep you busy. But we're talking about a Torah that we never get there anyway. So why are you throwing in extra mitzvahs? It's not negeya. It's not. It is negeya. I mean, the lesson I want to teach you is negeya. I'm not going to teach it to you with a case that can happen. I'd rather teach you with a case that can't happen. And that's you're not allowed to make yourself addictive to anything or needed of any specific zach in the world. Food is not. I'm not making it. That God made it. Air, God made it. I didn't make it. But here, I am making it, and therefore that's also. That's his and therefore, why do it? First of all, it costs money. In this day and age, it probably costs you a kilo check to smoke. So, I mean, so why are you going to do it? Okay, so that's the Sarah. Then the Rosh Shiva used to say there was this 5 cases of Anisa that he says that it's the Raisa uses the Lashon Soyevas Hashem Kolei Se'ela, and that means that Toyeva Ke'elva. Now it had the same kind of Toyeva. Now here particularly, but we didn't do anything. What is this like? You're not allowed to wear women's clothes. Okay. Who are then you're not allowed to wear men's clothes. Now, pants and all these things, you're going to win Leisilbash. It's not Leisilbash. They make special pants. They wear men's pants. You're right. Then it'll be Leisilbash. But there's not. But there's basically. But what is the yisur? What is the Torah want here? The Torah doesn't want you to tease the Yetzer Hara. That's what it doesn't want you to do. In other words, I'm not planning on doing anything. I'm just dressing up, right? And I'm going to see how much I can get away with. And you make yourself go in, let's say, into the bathroom or whatever it is, there just to see if you can piss. And you see you can piss. And then all of a sudden you have a Yetzer Hara. And all of a sudden I can get in there. That's what I can do. So you'll say, okay, I understand that's in a case where a guy's just looking out. What about in the play? School play. We need men. We need women in the boys' play. And we need men in the men's play. In a Beis Yaakov play. So how are you going to do that? So for the play, let's dress them up. They wear pants and that's it. We know what a man looks like and so on and so forth. And this shaila is asked constantly. Personally, I don't see any hedda. You'll say, why not? You just gave me a svara. So first of all, the svaras don't define the halachas, what we said in the thing. But I'll show you that the svara applies even in this case. What do I mean the svara applies even in this case? If a guy puts on women's clothes to see if he can get in someplace, I mean in a play, and Taki, guys will congratulate him and say, you look really like a girl. I really thought if I would see you in the street, I'd think you were a girl. And on Purim, we sometimes have that. That our guy actually looks like a girl. It looks like a shiksa maybe, but it looks like a girl. And therefore, now that he got some compliments on that part, now he has the Yetzer Hara to test it. Before, he wouldn't have had a Havamina to test it. And therefore, you shouldn't do that. Now, how do you do it? You wear plants with a skirt, whatever they do, they can find ages to know. Not by putting on a sign, I'm a girl. Good, okay, you can do that too. But I'm sorry, but there is ways you can do it. Okay, so you do it.
A lot of times little kids.
That's what I'm saying, and we shouldn't do it. Not a good idea. But I'm telling you, I see it with the boys, grown-ups. They don't put on the wig. This day and age, you don't need women to look like men as far as their hair goes. So it's not necessary. You'll put in earrings, and then all of a sudden you're a woman. But none wear earrings too. So you haven't got that anymore either. But simply, with a body curves or whatever it is, some people have a woman's more woman's body than a man's body. And when they do it, it looks cute today, and especially if they try dancing in a provocative way, and so on. And I think it's cute. It's not cute. It's a thing which is dangerous. Therefore, you're not allowed to tease the Yetzer Hara. That's what basically you're doing. You're teasing the Yetzer Hara. Just one thing we learn a lot of times the Gemara goes into the different issue of rape and these things, and with Rotzen, and we know a halacha that even though the Iker, the man does the Maisa, and a woman can be Kalkoilam, but where she's willingly, even though she's Kalkoilam, the Torah says, the Gemara says we kill her because Nechshva Torah Hanoya L'Maisa. How do you know that? Now it's quoted in the Gemara, but how does the Gemara know? It doesn't bring any raya to it. I hear the raya is here. It says, what happens if you find a naira together with a man, and a man in the city? So the man is killed for what reason? Because he does a meiser. And the naira of dvar shalei tzaka, she didn't scream. Now it didn't scream, so then that means you're not doing a meiser. So what's wrong with I didn't scream? So then see that not doing a meiser is considered a meiser. A noise not sure a meiser. And you really don't have to have anoya. Let's say, for instance, we'll bring a raya, she didn't have anoya. That doesn't prove anything. She still done misa, it's right misa. I'll give you a moshe what I mean in that. The mice of Yoel, right? She did a mice, an Avei Lishma. Right? Very nice thing on her part, but she did an Avei. Right? So the Gemara Tesis has the Kasha that was just she had nene from the Avera. So what do you call Lishma? She was nene from the Avera. So the Gemara answers the Tesis answers they're not called nene from Avera because there's a Zuama of the Goy and it makes the Tzaddik is annoyed. It's a horrible experience. It's an annoying experience. That's what it says. Who's going to define that that's emes? What happened if two Eidim would have shown up there and according to the Tam, the whole that not the Rabbeinu Tam, but the Reuven, I think it was, that holds you that you chayiv misa for Goy. So what would have been Shlit chayiv misa? Right? Because that's what she did. She did it l'shmo. That's a very nice thing. But that doesn't change the act to being what do you call it? And the Gabi Osa L'Baila, that's right. That's also Shaila. That's a Machlekes over there. But by Esther and Mordechai, she said Kasher Vadati. That all of a sudden, now that I'm going to go to Hudson, I'm going to be lost to you. Now, what happened after that? After that one time, she was back to what do you call it? The young thing, what's his name, is going to get a little bit upset. I have no idea. He died a year later, so it didn't have to put up with it for too long. But Maisa, what did she do? One time, she came in onto him, as they call it, and after that, back to the whatever head of Karkoilam that she was an Anusa, you're going to have to come back. That means obviously all actions done by him. What do you call it? He has to threaten her or whatever he has to do, and what do you call it? Otherwise, why is she an Anusa? Say Mordechai maybe gave her a get then. Could be. You don't find anywhere in the Gemara saying anything like that. Because you got to realize what happened to her afterwards. He died. This takes place after her 12th year, right? The kid's born. I don't know when the kid's born. Maybe he was born before already. But she's married since the 7th. I mean, she's part of this harem since the time of the 7th year. So 5 years before the mice of Haman. And then there's 2 more years he's dead. So he ruled for 14 years. What happens then? How old is this kid? He can't be older than 7 years. She became the regent of the Persian Empire. She was the queen of the Persian Empire, not a Jewish queen. She was a queen of a Persian Empire. She was the regent. She was lost to Klal Yisrael, period. And that's the biggest tragedy. We don't follow her. She's very nice. She saved us and everything. Oh, but she killed herself in reality. She was finished with Klal Yisrael. Yeah. Then it says, and he brings 2 reasons. One of them is, and the second one, what do you call it? And it's one pasuk. So first of all, why do you need 2 reasons? I mean, it take 2 reasons to us. If you only would have done one, you wouldn't ask them. But myself, so even if you say you need 2 reasons, okay. So if you'll take a look in the beginning of Divrei, right? In Parshas Divrei, it's in the Ferish they found. At least Moav did. He sends a letter to Sichon, and it says, this is Beis Posik Chovches, Eichel Ba'Kesef Tasbirein V'Achalti, tell me that, Kasher Osli B'nei Esav Ha'yeshiv V'Seya, V'Hamoyavim Ha'yeshvim Ba'o. So it says that they actually sold this food. And we explained over there that the reason they sold the food because they were stealing it anyway, so you might as well sell it to them. And we'll make some money at least on the deal. So good. So that's why the bench should try to save them, because Moav maybe, we spoke about the Shivas Pshat and the Bnei Shlit, that Moav, who was Mevaza herself more for that, maybe was saved by the fact, or could have been saved by the fact that that we were allowed to rob them and stuff like that, so because then they will sell us the food. And then we wouldn't know that what their real motives are when they sell it. But at least that they would be able to sell it. Ammon didn't come out and sell it. But what did Moav do? Moav socha lecha bilam ben ba'er. And again, what was the chet of hiring Bilam ben ba'er? The Israel was attacking. Clearly, Klal Yisrael was attacking them. I mean, raiding them. They weren't really attacking them in a war, but they were raiding them. It's pretty annoying. It costs money. Everything else, I mean, no one wants to tolerate something like that. And then the pasuk used that it's kot chayayim. Their lives were mamish to the point, just like Rivka was from Bnei Canaan, that she couldn't take it. You know, so that's how the nation felt. So what do you expect them to do? Their army they wouldn't feel as good enough, so they went to get Bilam. They went to get Bilam. Shailas I learned over there because they only asked Bilam that they should get V'gashtim in Haaretz. Just put him away from me. Just get him out of here. Right? And Bilam says, no, I don't work like that. And for me, it's V'garashtiv min ha'olam. I want them dead. I want genocide. I don't want a Jew left in the world. And he agreed. That was the problem. That Balak agreed to that tonight. Now we have a very strange thing about Gerim. Same thing goes to Saitsay. Adaimi and their Adaimi and the Mitzri are also for 3 days. Why? I mean, we have a din that Gershin is Gaya Ketinik Shenel Adami. So, as far as they're concerned, the kid started from zero. He's just born. So why are we saying he's also the Klal Yisrael? You don't have any midas ingrained, so that's why I want to tie it. There are 2 types of midas. There are midas that are learned and midas that are genetic. The midas that are genetic, Gael does not get rid of. It comes with him. The midas of that they learn, that comes with them. And the reason for it, like the emotional. Nevuz Aradion is a Ger Tzedek. Now, Nevuz Aradion is called the Rabat HaBochim. He's the head of all the butchers of people. He personally killed thousands upon thousands of Yidden. He was Nebuchadnezzar's general. Right? He was also around in Sancheriv's time. He was probably shtickle general there too. But he's Nebuchadnezzar's chief general, who goes and captures the world. This guy is not a pusher of mensch, right? He's a murderer, a big murderer. Because his wars are always attacking, not defensive wars, so maybe he's a murderer. He becomes a Yid, right? And if he would keep the same midas that he learned, obviously, he learned how to be a murderer. In other words, you don't find that he was a Adoimi, that al-chal b'chotichya, you don't find he's a guy that's a regular nation. Whatever it is, they have certain midas, but they're not necessarily murderers. Right? So they learned how to be a murderer. Now he became a ger. He moved to Borough Park. And somebody's going to park in his driveway. Now, some guys will just slash his tires. What do you think he would do? He'd kill the guy. Right? So, obviously, you can't leave those midas in a person. Becomes a yid. It's unfair to him. So we tell him that so the Ben Shalom makes him ketinik shenayladami, like a new baby. A new baby kid hasn't learned anything yet. So whatever it is. But the genetics, they're in a new baby too. And those are things, in other words, Esav is achal b'chatichya, the cruelty of Mitzrayim. Those things in 3 deiros can be living al pi atera, will be out of the goof, will be gone from them. And therefore we can intermarry with them. But the midah of what he calls sateiv doesn't go away. It's a thing that's not tested. You don't really come up against it, except in certain cases, and it's very rare that a guy's a real not makatoiv. So therefore, it's a shver zach that you can't back to them at all. And that's the problem that they have. So therefore, but sometimes we need those midos. For instance, we're pretty edel, right? Avram Avinu and assume Yitzchak and Yaakov wanted to keep away from Klal Yisrael the midah of acting, right? Which is the midah that the Chivi had. You're able to act. We're not going to go into Reis now, but when we get the Brachos, we'll get into this thing. But they had that midah, they were good actors. Klal Yisrael may have needed that midah. First of all, we needed the midah to save ourselves. How many times we had to pretend we were goyim, doing the gullus and stuff like that. You have to pretend you're friendly with all the if you're what do you call it, guy that's a naskin. Yeah, he said you have to be very friendly with goyim, and you have to be able to do it. That means you have to put on a good act that you're enjoying this stuff and everything else. Not that it's a chiyuv, but I have to do it to save Klal Yisrael. And if you're good, what do you call it, magid, you need a person to put on a good act, make the guys cry, make the guys laugh, because that's part of the union of how the Musa is going to go in. So therefore, that midah was necessary. So the Benshel made ganze kunzen that they got into Klal Yisrael. They kept it. They kept out. What's her name? Timna, they kept out of Klal Yisrael, so ultimately she chapta Elisvas, became him, but Osnas got into Klal Yisrael, and therefore that midah came into Klal Yisrael. So the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted certain midas to come in, and maybe he wanted even that we should have some blondes and blue eyes. And what he called, they're not naturally Jewish, according to the Gemara, they're not naturally Jewish midas. Blondes, blue eyes, all these things, they're Goyish features. But they're now Jewish features because they married into Klal Yisrael. However they married in, it's not my business how they married in. But the mice is, we have the colors that didn't exist by Klal Yisrael. That's the point. White, black, doesn't make a difference. It's all the same. They're not color. We're supposed to be tan, olive skinned if you want to be black haired, brown-eyed or black-eyed, and that's it. And brown hair probably can also have dark brown hair. You know what I'm saying? And then you can have a din of tzoras. And otherwise, in a white person, from the Ephes people, you can't have any tzoras, and from the Chumash people, you can't have any tzoras. Because their color, skin coloring, is not necessarily, you won't be able to tell it. Or whatever, however it will be. Okay. So therefore.
So how do you have a killer in a Maliki?
You sorry?
How do we have a killer in a Maliki or anybody? You might say they're going to say, "I'm a guyer. They won't show
Even the Kanani community.
Reuven was Hitler. In terms of numbers, and Hitler, although Hitler was probably a
100%. And even then, Amalek is good.
If they're a guy.
Haman learned Torah B'nai Barak. So obviously, Haman, the only way they can't come in, it's not that they can't come in, they can become Jews. They just can't marry into Klal Yisrael. So therefore, this is the point, that's what I was saying before. There's a religion of Jews, and there's a nationalism of Jews, a nation of Jews. The nation of Jews is only B'nai Yankiv. But anybody that receives the religion of Jews can marry into the B'nai Yankiv, except for Aman Amoyah. But it's not that they are Jews. I mean, they're not nationalistic Jews. We will treat them nice. We think maybe have to even treat them better than a Yid. And the Yizan is very partial. The reason is very partial because they chose to become Jewish. We were born into it. We didn't have much choice. They had choice, so the Ben Shem loves them. And the thing as far as that, the Haftam Esagir gives us Chiv, Haftam Esagir. But it's still not a Jew. No, he's not a nationalistic Jew. You can't be a Kohen, can't be a Levi, can't belong to any of the Shvatim. And God will take care of him, that's sure. He'll always have something to eat and whatever it is there. And it's similar, whatever it is.
Hello?
Yeah, so now it says, Very good. Then it says, okay. Yep. Just there's something to take into consideration again. It said the find the Bensham is still not finished with us. The new governor was supposed to be taking, I think, office this week. Said that everybody in school will have to wear masks, including us. That is the new thing. Whether it'll be Lemaisa, we'll see in a week. But right now, that is the thing. So the bench is not finished with us yet. And people are dying. Baruch Hashem, the ones that are vaccinated, so far no deaths by them. It's interesting. They get sick though. But, about 20%, I think, of the people who got sick or hospitalized, I think, are vaccinated. But in the ICU, none. Or maybe there also, maybe. I don't know. But deaths, none. Okay, so you say, well, we'll get vaccinated. Okay. First of all, you need a third shot already. And, you guys think you got away with it, I'll give you another one. And it'll probably become a yearly shot, just like the flu is. It's not going to be a push to mice. But as long as it's around, as what they call it, the pandemic is still what they call around, there's going to be people in power that can impose certain laws upon us. So the Ben Ishlam is still angry, meaning they can make again back to shul, they can make the schools, as I say, they have not said being in school, but they have to they made it inconvenient to be in school. And we still have to say, so then what does God want from us? That's what I think the simplest one is we find is that here it says Vayapach Hashem Elkecha Zabracha Zakol Lebracha. Only one, the Gemara says. Now that was Matoiv. Bilam had kavanah to close the shul and the yeshivas, and he did it with the way of bracha. What shot in the Parshas over there? It says he saw the Reuven didn't like Klola, right? So therefore he went with it with bracha. What do you mean he went with it with bracha? He went with it with bracha, meaning he made a Klola sound like a bracha. And that's what Rabbi Yochanan says. Rabbi Yochanan, two Rabbi Yochanans, when he says, like my table, your houses, look how wonderful they are. They, they have sriyas, you have this, like that. And then you see Metoich, but it says Rabbi Yochanan again. The difference is that you see from his bracha what he intended to do, what he wanted to happen, what no more yeshivas. So the shivas is, it says that it's nice. How can you say that to his kavanah? He may have thought about it, but where in the words are they? He says, that's how you do it. What do you need yeshivas in shul for? You got such beautiful houses. They'll teach you how to be good. That's what you think they did. Anything else, that'll close them up. So that was his kavanah. The Bensham then made it into a bracha taki. Now what is my table? You're going to have nice shul, you're going to have nice yeshivas, you're going to have what do you call it? They're going to stay. And now the Bensham shut it up. Right? And then he did it a while before he really did it, and now we don't know what's going to be. Halavai, it shouldn't come to that. But the Rebbeinu Shalom still wants something. I think we all have to think about what he could possibly want. But he didn't ease up on us. Yeah. S9 Zaina and Mechir Kelef. It's also to bring again the same thing. The Lashon is it's Toyevahi, what he calls says Hashem Kolei Se'ela. Now it's a bad thing. Okay, so a Zaina we understand. A kelev maybe also because if you don't take care of a kelev, you let them wild and stuff like that, they can be killers. And therefore, it's in Gedai so Mechir Kelev, if I'm switching it, I can't bring it as a colt. It's something you lessen this sheep from, or this cow from being a holy thing. And you have cases, even when you say, oh, but they're tame, of trained dogs. First of all, by the sleds with the huskies, they can actually kill the owner and eat him. They have to handle them in a certain way that they don't do that. You know, that's why I have the big whip over there. It's not just to make them move faster. The whip is protection against them. But you have cases of what do you call it? The German Shepherd that has eaten a baby already. The tame one, the pet of the family. But you leave it in the house all the time and everything else, and it's still a dog. I mean, whatever it is there. And if it gets hungry, it's going to eat whatever it wants to eat. And it's a little baby that doesn't seem to be doing anything against it, so that's what it's going to do. And so do they have fear of babies? I can't answer that. Okay. So that's not Zionist. So by the Goyim Lahavdil, there's a thing called, by the Catholics anyway, I think that's how really Protestantism started, because of indulgences. I think Julian I, I think his name was, the Pope, he needed money for a war. So if you give donations, you're Avenis and Escapa. There used to be a cardinal in Boston that was not was not a scholar, was not anything, but he was a good fundraiser. And he was nominated to be Pope. Obviously he didn't win because he's not really, doesn't really have all the stuff you need there, but they nominated him. Why? Because he was the largest, person who was able to raise the largest sums of money for the church. How did he do it? He took money from all the gangsters up there. You want to be the scalpel? Right there. That's what he did. And that's called indulgences. So you fight a war, you give me money, you are veilous and a scalpel. So the Bensham tells us we don't do indulgences. You can't buy what you did. As I did a veil, I'll give God a chelik of my money. God don't want that money in the thing over there. Now, does he want money from the pot? That's a good question. There's money, I think it's a bizarre a little bit, but I can't answer it. There are places that actually play cards for money, and with the expression that every pot you win, you got to give, I think, 10% to 20%, the pot goes into the pushkin. So whatever it is, the end, everybody lost money because everyone is putting into the pot, so into the pushkin, but the pushkin makes a lot of money. And these people want to give the stock anyway, right? So now we got a lot of money for tzedakah. And we justify our games that way. In other words, you want to raise money for tzedakah, this is how you raise it. And somehow it's not really necessary. And now you say they have, even when you go sometimes to, what do you call it, Chinese auctions. I don't remember, I remember as a kid, they used to have like a game of, what do you call it, where they spin the wheel and you win the money.
Roulette.
Huh?
Roulette.
Roulette, yeah. They used to have a roulette thing. And you can bet against the machine. Now I never understood it too well how to play that game. But the mice, why would a guy take a chance on all those different numbers and things that, but you're gambling. The guys, I think so. It didn't sound right, like you're teaching the guys. Because the guy, let me tell you something, if you lose the first pot, cards, you lose your money that night, I don't think you'll become a gambler. If you win the first night, you got a big problem. Because I see You can always make it up again. Maybe I'll wake it up. And that's how you do it. And that's one of the dangers that they have. Okay, but I'm saying, but to justify it, maybe you're cut to the God. Here's your cut, God. And I don't think that's a proper thing, but I can't answer you. But from here you see that God doesn't want such a type of money. Now you tell me that's not also, they're fine, I'm not getting involved in these halacha of it, but these two are definitely not, can't use as a code. Then it tells you another one of these in this parsha is what do you call it? Ma'aseh L'Shasei. The guy was married, he divorces her, she gets married to someone else, and then he divorces her, or he dies. The first husband cannot marry her again. It's also to marry her. Like this, if she gets divorced and she didn't do anything, or she was mezaneh, you can still marry her again. But if she got married to someone else, you can't. So Shiva learned this is simply to show you to guys for against the fume guys that want to do. What is a fume guy going to do? Guy has a taiva for somebody else's wife, and he happens to be a rich man, and he goes and he says, I'll pay you X amount of dollars for you to divorce your wife. I'll marry her. A week later, I'll divorce her. I'll be yetzu my yitzhar or whatever it is there, and then you'll remarry her. So what do you got to lose? You're making a few $1 million, $1 million on a day. You're a poor man anyway, so why wouldn't you jump at the chance? Right. So what really is the problem is you never forget about the other wife. The Ibn Ezra says, how do you react against an Eishes Ish? I mean, there's a taiva, there's Eishes Ish out there, especially in our day and age, where we're a pretty close-knit community, no matter how much we are, that it's very possible that the girls I went out with live next door to me, and they're married. Right? And all of a sudden we got a problem. What do you have a problem? You have no problem. Why? Because it's an Eishes Ish. What's an Eishes Ish? So the Ibn Ezra says it's like the caliph's wife, the king's wife. King's wife, they would know you think about the king's wife, your head is coming off. So it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Gets rid of the Yetzirah very quickly. If you see the guy standing with a bat over your head, you're not doing any averos, right? The only thing is because I don't feel the einish, therefore, or the avera, or the fact that I don't see the malach or God, so I do averos. That's the bechira that Hashem gave us to do. But Lamai said, so we have to create our own image that we will not do it. But if we say Ma'aseh L'Shasei is mutel, then you'll never forget about Yadam's wife. Avadi, you'll say it's also. I'm not going to do an Isach Chas v'Chalila, but what I will do is I will make it. I'll make this thing. It means I didn't forget about it. I have a taiva for her. The other way I forget about it. She's married. It's finished. It's not in my mind. And I don't. It doesn't exist by me anymore. But this it does. That's why Ma'aseh L'Shasei has that specialism. Okay. Anyway, have a good Shabbos, everybody. We have a healthy Shabbos, a healthy year. I'll probably speak again. If not, we can always wish a Ksivach Simateva again anyway.